Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Big Hawk, aka Aaron Hawkins. Welcome to another edition of My Perspective Podcast. We're coming to you today. I'm traveling, heading to Alabama, but we're videoing and we're recording today from Quincy, Florida. So get ready for a good podcast. Hope you like it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Just trying to grow these numbers. So y'all can help me get out this truck. Let's build out this studio. But nonetheless, hey, we're gonna talk to you today from a subject, uh, cognitive dissonance, and how that plagues or factors into relationships. How many of y'all, first of all, how many of y'all know what cognitive dissonance is? It was a new word for me until I began to look it up, dealing with the. I was in a relationship, prior relationship, had some struggles going on, didn't know what the hell was going on, and wondering why things wasn't adding up or lining up. Then just came across the word. I think one day, heard somebody in the interview talking about it, so I looked it up. Man, it made a lot of sense as to why relationships don't work, or relationships struggle, I should say. So, the definition of cognitive dissonance is a mental conflict that occurs when your beliefs don't line up with your actions. Believe it or not, that is very, very common in relationships. Very common in relationships. So much so that it causes one to point the finger at each other. It causes one individuals not to want to be accountable. It's only because they're ignorant to the fact. They don't know what's going on. And that's cool. But man, when you know better, you do better. So that's why we're going to talk about it today. So cognitive dissonance is a situation when you're in battle with yourself, a mental conflict. So it starts up here in your mind when your beliefs don't line up with your actions. So what that means is we have these thoughts and we have these dreams of how we want things to be, right? So we want that knight to shine the armor. We want that damsel in distress, or we want that princess who just has it all together in our mind, and we know how we want to treat her or him. We know how we're going to take care of her or him. We know how we're going to live. We know how we're going to build. But it's all up here. The conflict comes when you get said person and the thoughts don't add up with the actions. When it's time for the rubber to meet the road, that's when the conflict comes. Why? Because there's a couple of reasons why. Shit, talk is cheap, number one. That's probably the main thing. Talk is cheap. You can make your mouth say anything, y'all. But when it's time to put that work in, that's a whole nother subject. So, talk is cheap, definitely number one. We know what we want based on what we see on TV, based on what we hear from other influencers, based on what we see our parents do or didn't do, based on what we see family members do or didn't do. So we know what we want or don't want based on vision, based on what we see, based on visuals, whatever. Or based on learned behavior. We was taught a certain way and it just carries over. Me, for example, my dad worked 2 jobs, damn near all my life. And he was the primary provider. He was the breadwinner. My mother didn't work often. She worked outside of the home sometimes, not a lot. My dad carried the weight. 99% of the time financially. Now don't get it twisted. Shirley was a beast. She turned water into wine. She was Jesus Jr. That's what I called her growing up. She was Jesus Jr. She turned water into wine. Um, she made cakes. She's probably one of the best in the city when it comes to making cakes. She catered events. She cooked. She sold food out the house. Probably one of the pioneers of that. She wasn't the first one, but she was one of the ones that was in it doing it early before it's popular where I'm from now. Everybody cooking now, but my mom was doing it when it wasn't popular. She made our clothes. She had a sewing machine, so she sewed our clothes. We looked it good. We looked really good growing up. We were poor as shit. But because she knew how to stretch my daddy money, she made us look good. She made us look presentable. She made us look like we had more substance than what we really had. So don't get it twisted. A homemaker should never be devalued. Should never be devalued. So I'm definitely not saying that. But what I'm saying is learned behavior. Based on what I see my mom and daddy example in front of me, I picked that up and carried it into my relationships. My first wife, we started out working. Both of us started out working, had kids. It didn't make sense for her to go to work. We had twins. So it didn't make sense for her to go to work only to pay a child care bill, because that bill was so expensive. It was going to make her, like, the whole check going toward child care. She may have had a tank of gas left for the week. Going to work. So I just said, stay home. I figured it out. And that's what I did. So she worked outside of the home twice. When we first got married, and then when my baby, my last child, was ready to go to school, and she wanted to go back to work. So she worked outside of the house twice when we were together. And the second time, it was short-lived because I personally didn't like the school system and how they was portraying my boys to be. That's a whole other conversation for another time. But I didn't like how they was portraying my boys to be. My oldest child, AJ, top 5% in the nation when it comes to math and science. But they labeling him a troublemaker. Two things can be true. However, little boys just learn different than little girls. So he was very competitive, very active kid. He'd get his work done. He didn't want to play, but definitely wasn't a troublemaker. So I had to stay in parent-teacher conferences. I had to stay in the principal's office fighting for my child. And then my baby boy, Caleb, yeah, he did the opposite. He wanted to play, then do his homework last. So they wanted to put him on drugs and shit, Ritalin and all that shit. I wasn't going for that. So I told her that, just stay home. We'll figure it out. I just worked my ass off to make ends meet. That's what I did. Things eventually got better over the years. So yeah, but I learned that model from my parents. Because I was learning behavior for me. A lot of people don't subscribe to that. Even the women don't subscribe to that. Even the women right now today, they don't. A lot of women, not all. I hate to generalize everybody, but a lot of women, they don't want to stay at home. They want to contribute. Some folks, positive reasons, some for negative reasons. But however, that was my learned behavior from my parents, particularly my father. That it was a strong man, quiet man. He's still alive, so I keep saying was, but my dad is strong and quiet. He made shit shake. I always wondered how he turned water into wine too, like how he did what he did. Taking care of 8 kids. We all had needs, we all had stresses, we all had emergencies. He came through for all of us. Wonder how he made it for his own self, but he did. So that was my learned behavior. Now, was it right? I mean, it's case by case. But that's what I learned from seeing my father and my mother example. My father and mother example when it came to marriage and when it came to parenting. So yeah, I picked that up. But you have a plan. And your mental don't match your physical, man, that's a frustrating thing. That's a really frustrating thing. And I've been on both sides of it. I've been on the cognitive dissonance sides where my beliefs didn't match my action. I had a plan, wrote it down, had it on paper, step by step how I was gonna get A, B, C, and D. But I couldn't get past A because of all the emotional turmoil that was going on inside. So that caused a lot of drama. That caused a lot of tension, a lot of confusion, because my beliefs didn't match my actions. Also, I've been on the other side of that thing when my significant other, her beliefs didn't match her actions. So I've been on both sides of it. But a few things that can combat cognitive dissonance, it really can be easy if two people are willing to work at it. First of all, you gotta be two willing participants. Meaning, you and your spouse, you and your significant other, got to be willing to work towards something for the greater good. Even if it ain't your idea, even if it ain't your way of doing things, if it makes sense for the family, both parties should be willing to work at it together to make it work. So if my wife has a plan that is going to take us from point A to point B, but it's not my plan, and I don't necessarily care for the plan. However, I see her plan is really, really foolproof, or it's more solid than my plan. I have to be strong enough, wise enough, and secure enough within myself to allow her to run the play. I gotta be secure enough in myself to allow her to run the play. We live in this man's the head society, but being the head is being strong enough, wise enough to allow somebody to lead when you're not suited for the task at hand. That's really being a good leader. The best leaders know how to delegate their authority. So if your partner is better suited to operate a particular mission y'all on, or a particular task y'all gonna partake in, and you don't have it, then let her do it, and vice versa. It's all case by case, and that's really being a good leader, knowing how to delegate. The best business owners, the best leaders, the best thought provokers, they're not the smartest people in the world. They just employ, or they just surround themselves with the smartest people in the world. You should do the same thing in a relationship. You're not going to be the smartest person in a relationship all the time, but you should be secure enough in yourself to know when your spouse is a smarter person on that particular task. Let them do it. Let them do it. No big deal. You know, the man is the head. Yeah, I believe in that. I agree with that to a certain extent. I'm not just a dogmatic, old school, my way to highway type of guy. A lot of people are. My daddy old school. And believe it or not, he kind of that way. You know, the man in the head, the man in the head. I get it, but being the head don't mean you gotta call every shot. Don't mean you gotta run every play. Don't mean you gotta be in control of every situation. Being the head simply means you're smart enough and you're wise enough to run the show efficiently. That means delegating authority to allow your wife or your spouse to lead, and even allow your children to lead in a particular area. Because these kids way smarter than we are. Way smarter than we are. And if they got the knowledge and the know how to get something done, shit, let them do it. Let them do it. You're just going to control the environment, but let them do it. That's being a good leader. That's wisdom. That's being smart. But we have these dreams, man. We have these ideas. We have these plans in our head and our mind. Sometimes we even have them on paper. But knowing how to bring it to fruition, that'd be a struggle sometimes. I got a few things, man. Just a few ways to help combat that. To get over that hump, till you can get to your destiny and get to where you're trying to go. You know, and that's simply, man, the two can't walk together except they be agreed. I mean, you and your partner got to be on the same page. If y'all are not on the same page, this shit, you're gonna stay struggling. trying to figure it out. You're gonna stay struggling, trying to make things work. If y'all not on the same page, if y'all don't see eye to eye, how the dream gonna take off? How the dream gonna come to fruition? If you don't see eye to eye, and it's okay not to agree on everything, but it's definitely not okay if you guys are not a united front. If you're not a united front, man, y'all wasting y'all time. Because at the end of the day, I have to trust her to know that she has my best interest at heart, and vice versa. She has to trust me to know that I have her best interest at heart. So if we not on that, if we not there, man, that's at the foundation. That's the foundation. You got to be together. You got to be one. You're no longer two, but you're one. You have to be that way. If you're not that way, you're gonna have a tough road to hoe. You're gonna have a tough road to hoe. And you're gonna be just doing things as two single people and not as a couple. Yeah. Believe it or not, man, what we need to realize, we want marriage, we want relationships for, I ain't gonna say the wrong reason, but more times than not, the less beneficial reason. What we need to realize, man, marriage is the cheat code to wealth. That's the cheat code to wealth. There are more successful millionaires who are married than who are single. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of single millionaires out there, and you could be a millionaire and single, but it's a lot harder when you're doing it by yourself than when you're doing it with your wife or your significant other. It's a lot harder. Two people can get on the same page and got that same motion, your momentum speeds up a lot faster. Your progress speeds up a lot faster. Your achievements are accomplished a lot faster when you on the same page. Two cannot walk together except they be agreed. Man, that is one of the most powerful statements when it comes to relationship. If y'all not on the same page, man, what y'all doing? Y'all wasting your time. Y'all wasting your time. And I want to say this. The second thing, it's about accountability. You got to be able to be called out on your BS. If y'all trying to accomplish something and your spouse notices you off track, he or she need to be able to call you out on that, and you not be offended. And you need to be able to listen to comprehend instead of listening to respond, so y'all can figure that thing out together quickly as possible, get on the right track, and move forward with what y'all trying to accomplish. And that's so easy. It's way easier said than done. Way easier said than done. So yeah, unity is number one. Accountability is number two. And man, communicate. Communication throughout this podcast, throughout my perspective podcast, what you're gonna hear is gonna be the running theme for the whole podcast. Man, it's communication. If you don't communicate, you ain't got nothing. You ain't got nothing. You are two single individuals masquerading as a couple who just fucking. That's just it. You doing your thing, she doing her thing, and y'all just living together, y'all just cohabitate, but y'all living two separate lives. How far y'all gonna get? How fast y'all gonna get to where y'all trying to go? Separate. You ain't gonna get far. You gonna get far. And when you see, if you have the the wherewithal or the intuition to see that your partner may be struggling, study your partner, understand what they're going through, and help them. If you can. If you can't help them, get some help for them. And hopefully their egos and their pride won't allow them to reject, won't allow them to accept it. Hopefully they'll be able to accept it, because man, we're just trying to get to the finish line together. At the end of the day, we're trying to get to the finish line together. Shit, I'm far from perfect, man. I'm a type of cat, like, and my wife, she got a lot to dealing with me. I don't require much, but I'm always thinking. I'm always thinking about something. Man, I be thinking about shit. What else? That shit ain't always cool. Sometimes you gotta let shit play out. But I'm so much of a thinker, man. I'm a thought provoker, but it also get me in trouble sometimes too, because I'm always overthinking. If you don't know how to control your overthinking, man, sheesh, that's probably in and of itself too, and that causes cognitive dissonance as well, because you allow um, you allow distractions to come into play. You allow distractions to get in the way of your belief system, and you get in the way of your action because of a thought that ain't even real. It's just in your head. You don't know it to be true or not. So, but if you got a spouse that's willing to, of course, hopefully y'all love each other. Hopefully, shit, that should be a given. But who is accountable and can hold you accountable, who's a communicator, and who is okay with forced communication. But sometimes you gotta have forced communication. Forced communication ain't all bad. Sometimes you may not want to talk, or you may not want to respond, but you still got to be able to plant seeds and provoke thought to get things accomplished. I ain't saying hold a gun to your spouse's head and say, motherfucker, you gonna talk to me. I'm not saying that. But you have to be able to provoke thought, even when things are not going the way they should go. Got this wisdom that comes with time, that comes with maturity. You know, everybody evolves at different times, different paces. So, you gotta have patience in all of this. Patience is a virtue, and that's key in all of this. You must struggle with that. I ain't gonna even hold you. I struggle with it, but I'm working on it. But in order to combat cognitive dissonance, you have to be transparent. You have to be transparent. You have to be honest and open with one another. What are your struggles? What are your shortcomings? Let your spouse know. Let your significant other know what you're dealing with, what you want to do, or what you struggle with. And they may be able to offset you. Where you weak at, they may be strong at. Boom, now it's even again. And where they weak at, you may be strong at. Boom, we even each other out. We balance each other out. But you have to be able to communicate. If you can't communicate and be vulnerable with your spouse, man, you ain't got no spouse. My opinion. If you can't communicate and be vulnerable with your spouse, man, you ain't got no damn spouse. You ain't got no significant other, in my opinion, because who I'm gonna be vulnerable to if I can be vulnerable with the person that see me ass naked? Like, for real. I got homeboys, I got friends, man. We solid, we tight. But I'm not telling them everything. I'm not telling them everything. Because they don't know me in the most intimate ways. And my spouse know me in the most intimate way why I can't be vulnerable with her. Or why you can't be vulnerable with him. That's crazy. And if they hold it against you, that's a problem. That's a problem. But these types of things take place, and it causes problems when it comes to communicating and achieving goals. So you have to be able to be vulnerable on this journey and dealing with cognitive dissonance. And it's very sensitive. It's a very sensitive situation because we don't know we're dealing with it. That's the thing about it. You really don't know you're dealing with it. You just know you got these dreams and you got these desires, and you just can't figure out why you can't get nothing accomplished. This is why, more times than not, cognitive dissonance. A mental conflict that occurs when your beliefs don't line up with your action. When you read it, when you hear it, it ain't as difficult as it may seem when you understand what you're dealing with. And all that get understanding, man. Learn what's going on within you. It's cool that you don't know, you just know something ain't right. But man, study, figure it out, ask questions to see if it's something that you can see if it's something that you can fix. You can fix. I'm a big proponent of therapy. Man, I got a therapist. I haven't been to in a while. She had some personal things she had going on, but I think she ready to start back taking. She's ready to start back doing sessions again. So when she ready, we back on board again. But therapy is important. Uh, we use therapy in the most stressful and the most dire need, which is great. Consider therapy. Consider therapy when things ain't so bad. When you just can't figure small things out. Because all the therapist does, this is my opinion, they know how to communicate, they know how to conversate, they know how to have certain conversation, and then they ask probing questions to allow you to figure things out on your own, just by the questions that they ask. Shit, if you can't afford a therapist, man, talk to your damn self. Talk to yourself. I know y'all think that's crazy, some of y'all. Man, I talk to myself. I get most of my answers talking to myself, figuring things out on my own. I'm okay with that. Y'all call me cuckoo, call me loony bird, whatever you want to call me, but that shit work. Talk to yourself. Because whether you believe it or not, God sit in the seat of your consciousness. That's right up here. Where your thought process is, where you be thinking about shit at, that's right up here. We operate from here, the soul, the heart. But we need to be operating from here, the mental. And that's where God sit. God sit in the seat of your consciousness. So when you're talking to yourself, you're really talking to God. If God talk back, it just be your voice. So we need to start doing more of that. Therapy is great. But talk to yourself as well. I got some of the best help of my life just from talking to myself. Now with the guidance of a therapist, now don't get me wrong, with the guidance of a therapist, them probing questions, yeah, allowed me, sent me on the path to begin to talk to myself, begin to learn who I really am, who I really was, what started me on my journey to where I had my frustrations at, and also to find a solution. So yeah, these things you have to do, but man, don't allow what you're confused about or what you don't know cause you to just give up on your relationship goals, to give up on your personal goals, to give up on your family goals. And talk to people, ask questions. Don't let your pride get in your way of your success. Don't let your pride get in the way of your success. We do that all the time. Don't want nobody to know what we're really going through. Don't want nobody to know our personal business. Now, I agree with you. Everybody got no business knowing what you got going on, because people want to talk. People gonna talk every chance they get. And misery love company, and negativity is more entertaining than positivity. So be careful who you talk to. I would agree with that. However, don't just shut down. Don't just shut down. And don't be surprised if a stranger got your answer. I got the words to get you on track, to get you on the right track. Friends and family, them the ones you love the most. But 9 times out of 10, them the ones that treat you the worst. So just be mindful of that. So yeah, don't allow cognitive dissonance, the mental conflict, your beliefs don't line up with your actions. We got to get that thing on one accord. And if you're in a relationship, it's better to do it with your spouse or your significant other than try to do it on your own. Because they can see what you can't see. They see what you can't see. And vice versa. But we have to be strong enough and yet vulnerable enough to trust and reside in one another. Put it like this, man. If you're in a relationship, 9 times out of 10, y'all having sex, no condom. You can't get no naked than that. You can't get no more pure than that. You can't get no more exposed than that. So why you can't share your intimate secrets with your spouse? You sharing your body ass naked with your spouse, not knowing what's going on, but you trust them. You trust them with your body, but you don't trust them with your heart. You don't trust them with your mind. All that shit got to line up. All of it got to line up. If it ain't lining up, you creating discourse. You're creating discourse. And that's man, how you gonna get? How far you gonna really gonna get like that in a relationship? You ain't gonna get far. You may not break up, you may not separate, but you just gonna be spinning your goddamn wheels, running around the circles, going around the circles. Gonna be the same spot you are now next year. Because y'all ain't aligning yourselves together on every level. When you leave something out, you leave room for discourse. That's just kind of what it is. But don't allow cognitive dissonance to linger in your life nor in your relationship. Number one, you got to be transparent. You have to communicate. You have to be vulnerable enough to talk. That's part of communication. And you have to be open for constructive criticism. Because if a person sees something in you that's causing you from getting from point A to point B, and they speak on it, you may not like what you hear. But you got to be able to take it for the greater good. For the greater good. And if you can't do these things, man, it's gonna be hard to get over the hump. It's gonna be hard to get over that hump. So, man, that's my little conversation for the day. I ain't gonna keep you long. However, please, please, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel, Aaron Hawkins, Big Hawk 863. And y'all rock with your boy. We're gonna do that thing every week. Until next time, peace.